Hey guys, so today we are going to be doing editing again. Because remember that good writers, they check their writing. They make sure that they have correct capital letters. They make sure that it's organized. They make sure that they have the right punctuation. They make sure that their spelling is right. So we are going to make sure we see those things in the essays that we read that other people write today. So guys, real quick, what is our lesson on? Is it on A, revising, or B, editing? You should have got editing because yes, we're editing today. Okay, remind me, what is editing? Is editing checking grammar, spelling, and punctuation, or is it B, changing writing to make it better? You should have got A, editing is checking with grammar, spelling, and punctuation. Revising is changing our writing to make it better. In this lesson, we're editing. Remember, editing is like getting that perfect selfie like Miss Smith has in her Bitmoji. You want to make sure that your selfie is at the right angle. So you want to make sure that your sentences are at the right angle too. Your sentences should have the right grammar, the right spelling, the right punctuation. It should be look good. It should be looking good. We want to make sure that our sentences have a filter on them because, boom, bam, filters. Okay. So that's what we want to make sure we do. So today, together, we're going to look at the Cat Cafe's excerpts. Some of you may have already done this on your own. So this is kind of like a check your answers right now. And some of you, this is like new to you. So we're going to go ahead and do the Cat Cafe excerpts. So let me exit out of my screen and I'm going to go to the story. So remember that we use our read strategy when we are answering questions, especially like when we're preparing for tests. We use our read strategy. Our read strategy says that we need to read the question, we need to read the passage, we need to eliminate wrong answers, we need to annotate the answer choices, and we need to double check our answer and explain our thinking. So we're going to start by reading the passage, and then we're going to go on to the questions. So it says, Brian learned about an interesting place for cats. He wrote a paper to share what he learned. Read Brian's paper and look for any corrections he needs to make. When you finish reading, answer the questions that follow. So it's the Cat Cafe's excerpts. Although both dogs and cats are the most common domestic pets, American society has long seemed to favor dogs. It is more common to see dogs rather than cats in public. Walking a dog in the neighborhood is a nightly ritual for many owners. Specially trained service dogs are allowed into stores, hospitals, and restaurants. There is even parks made especially for dogs. On the other hand, public acceptance of cats seems to be lacking. Thanks to the increasing number of cat cafes, that situation is rapidly changing. Cat cafes are exactly what the name suggests. They are coffee shops that feature real live cats. Most shops are divided into two sections. One section is a regular cafe where humans can purchase drinks and bakery or snack items. The other section is dedicated to the cafe-owned cats. This section is filled with climbing shelves and scratching posts for the cats to enjoy. There is seating in the cat section where customers can enjoy the friskiness of felines. If a customer is really lucky, a cat may curl up on his or her lap, unlike dog parks. The cat cafes do not allow people to bring their own pets due to health and sociability concerns. Some people have questioned the likelihood of such places to succeed. Consider, though, the cafes, such as Meow Parlor in Manhattan, took reservations a month in advance to deal with the large number of people who wanted to visit. Lady Dinah's Cat Emporium in London started a reservation system from 20,000 people wanted to come into a 30-seat cafe all at the same time, says the founder, Lauren Pierce. Clearly, any question of the possible success of cat cafes can be put to rest. Cat lovers finally can join dog enthusiasts in expressing their fondness for their favorite pet in a public area. Okay, so we just read this passage. So when I read a passage, I always want to make sure I know exactly what the passage is about. So I'm going to ask you a question and I want you to answer the question. So my question is, what is the gist of this passage? So when I say what is the gist, I really just want to know, like, what are we talking about? Are we talking about cats? Are we talking about dogs? Are we talking about the cat cafes? What is the main thing we are talking about? You can also look at the title. What are we talking about? Are we talking about cats, dogs, or the cat cafes? So you should have gotten that we are talking about the cat cafes. That is the main idea of this passage. It's about a cat cafe. So that kind of helps us a little bit when it comes to our practice if we know what we're talking about. So we're going to go ahead and move on to the questions. So our first question says, what change, if any, should be made in sentence 16? Well, let's go ahead and look at sentence 16. Sentence 16 is right here, and I'm actually going to highlight it for myself. That way I know this is the sentence that I'm paying attention to. So it says there is seating in the cat section where customers can enjoy the friskiness of the felines. So before I even answer this question, when I'm looking at question 16, I do notice a spelling error, not just because it's underlined in red, but because of the fact that friskiness, I feel like that's spelled wrong because I know this rule of writing where if a word is modified, that means if a word is changed, and it has a Y in it, that Y turns into an I. Now, I'm not fully sure of this rule, but I think it's a rule. So I'm going to try with other words that have a Y. I know that story has a Y, and story turns into stories when we're talking about multiple things. I know that candy has a Y, and when we talk about multiple things, we say candies, right? We take that Y out. I know that happy has a Y. And when we say happiness, we take that Y out and we put a I, happiness. I also know that sloppy has a Y. And when we take that Y out, it's sloppiness. So, I think I'm right. So I think that friskiness needs to be turned into an I. So I think we just answered our question. So let me go down and let me find that answer. So it's going to be C. We're choosing C because of the fact that we know the rule. The rule says that it needs to be changed. So I'm going to go ahead and write that. I chose this answer because the writing rule states that if a word with ending in a Y is changed, it needs to be changed to an I. And that's all I have to write. Perfect. Our question 2 says, how, let me move this. This is in my way. Okay, I can't move it. It says, how should sentence 32 be changed? Consider, though, that cafes such as Meow Parlor in Manhattan took reservations a month in advance to deal with the large number of people who wanted to visit. I want you to answer this question, and then I'm going to answer it for you. So how should it be changed? Should it A, change parlor to parlor? B, change advanced to advanced? C, change large to larger? D, sentence 32 should not be changed. All right. So for me, I picked A. Let me tell you why I didn't put the other answer choices and then why I picked A. So B says change advanced to advanced. If we say, consider though that cafes such as a Meow Parlor in Manhattan took reservations a month in advance to deal, that doesn't make sense. So we can't choose that one. Large to larger. Consider though that cafes such as Meow Parlor in Manhattan took reservations a month in advance to deal with the larger number of people who wanted to visit. That sounds okay, but I also know a rule for A, and that's why I changed A. Cafes such as Meow Parlor, excuse me, this is a name. Meow Parlor is a pronoun. It's the name of a restaurant. So since it's the name of a restaurant, we have to make sure that this P is capitalized. So although it sounds okay if you put larger instead, it also sounds okay if you say large. Those two are interchangeable. It doesn't really matter which one you choose. But I know for a fact that this parlor needs to be changed because it has to have a capital letter. So when you do your practice today, because you're going to be doing lesson 4.2, I want you to make sure that you use the strategies and you think about the different spelling rules or writing rules that I just got through talking about. So let me move this right here out of the way. Let me select it. That way I can delete it. Okay. So your next steps, guys, your next steps are, oh my goodness. Okay. We already read. So we already know what read is. I forgot to go over that with you, but you guys already know what read is, so it's okay. So your next steps are to go back to Google Classroom and open lesson 4.2, editing part 2. Read the passage, answer the questions using read. So go ahead and tell me, what are you doing next? What is the lesson that you are opening? You can look at the circle and write down the answer. What lesson are you opening?